Well, in a way, the paintings aren't just paintings. I just call them paintings because it's easier to call them that. But they're actually, photo collage, digitally manipulated images with some paint on it. My paintings in general, they begin with, I use the stock listings of the Financial Times, for me as a metaphor of the information space that we exist in. These are coated in multiple layers, ending with a special type of varnish that allows me to print directly onto them. The images are constructed on the computer first, and then they're printed onto gridded sections of these pre-prepared sheets of stock listings. Then they're jigsawed back onto the canvas. Then I paint and spray paint ink. I put sand on it, and I'll spray it from different directions. So there's all these different multiple layers of processes and techniques that I'm interested in. So then I'm trying to encourage, I suppose, a breaking down of the paintings themselves into these multiple dimensions. So I've always been interested in new technologies as a way of expanding painting, or the language of painting itself as well. And then just recently I've been able to make a different strain of work that is just digitally based, I suppose. But then the images that I originally use are photographs of oil paintings that are then sort of run through an open source algorithm that glitches the original around 4,000 times. And what I mean by glitch in this case is something called pixel sorting, which essentially takes every single pixel from the image and rearranges it according to an algorithm. What drew me to it was that they start to look like almost like digital sands of time. It's got this quite compelling sort of draining and entropy, to the image. That to me is a metaphor also of the transition from one era to another. The show that I'm planning for Nottingham will involve a video installation and a series of paintings, mostly new work, about, in a way, mapping the beginning of modern capitalism, or birth of modern capitalism, all the way through to authoritarian capitalism with the rise of China. Here Be Dragons comes from a phrase to do with defining an area of a map that's unexplored or unknown. Rather than just saying unknown, they say here be dragons. But in modern sort of times, it's also come to represent a place in computational coding for very complex areas that coders will define as being here be dragons as a warning. This is now an area that's maybe going to be very complicated to look at. And also dragons being related to China, but also in the West to represent an evil serpent. So it has all these connotations that I felt was very pertinent to what part of the show is also about, which is the new geopolitical lines being drawn in South China Sea, which is what my most recent paintings will be sort of dealing with. These shapes at the bottom are actually contested islands in South China Sea. So I think this one is Mischief Reef. You can see that it's got this unnatural sort of shape to it. It's because they literally dredge up the coral and then they concrete over it. And China's creating these artificial islands in South China Sea. Now the reason why they're doing this is in order to extend their sea territory, as well as to protect the maritime sea route, which is worth $3 to $9 trillion a year. And it's in response to the US opening up military bases to contain China. And so it's about drawing up these new geopolitical lines around these sorts of contested islands. And so Here Be Dragons is a way of sort of encapsulating all of those ideas.